Hey everyone, Dr. Mark Supernaut here with Family Healing Chiropractic with your weekly webinar. Sorry I was absent last week. I actually had a 7-day trip down to Guatemala with my daughter's high school missions trip. We built houses, we hung out with orphans and the orphanage and took orphans to the zoo. We packed food. We just had a great time in Guatemala, blast. I'll tell you guys more on that on a separate webinar here. But today I want to actually dive in and talk about stress. And stress is one of those buzzwords that's been used for 20, 30 years. I remember my mom saying it growing up. Hi, Mom. I remember my mom saying a lot growing up about how much stress there is and all this kind of stuff. And people interpret stress in different ways. And so I've had a lot of patients come in with a lot of problems, different problems. In fact, I was just adjusting at my church earlier today. And this guy's like, yeah, he goes, I really feel like I have this back pain because I have all this stress. And I said, where's the stress coming from? He's like, well, some of it's physical, but he goes, I have a lot of emotional stress on me right now. And I said, it's kind of funny that you're telling me this because I'm about to go record a webinar about stress. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that is and how our bodies deal with it and what it really looks like when you're dealing, quote unquote, dealing with stress. Stress, the question people are really asking, everyone feels stressed, but in different ways. But the real question is, do you have stress? In this case, it's really can chiropractic help this stress? And so stress doesn't just live in your mind. It shows up in your body. It shows up in your sleep, your energy, your hormones, your patience, your health. And most people don't realize that how deeply stress affects their nerve system until symptoms start to appear. And so, and people handle stress in different ways. Like I tell patients all the time, I'm like, if you and I come and go stand on top of this building and jump off of it, our bodies might handle that stress differently. If you and I are put in front of a crowd of 10,000 people, you and I might handle that stress differently. If you and I are given 2 large pizzas to eat, our bodies might handle that stress differently. If we're both given full amount of vaccines, our bodies might handle that stress differently. So really what it comes down to is not just stress itself, like the quote unquote stress that we've been taught our whole life and sold on the stress, but it's really how well is your body's ability to be able to adapt that, and where is stress really held within inside your body. So reframe the whole mindset of what stress is. Stress doesn't break you. It's a poor adaptation. Your body's inability to adapt to stress is what really starts to cause the issues. If your body can handle high amounts of stress, that's why you see like Marines or Navy SEALs, they take themselves through a lot of stressful situations, mentally, emotionally, chemically, temperature-wise. They do all these things to see who's going to break and who doesn't, but it also helps build up their body's ability to be able to handle that stress, obviously, along the way as well. So the body's actually designed, the way that God designed us is the body is designed to be able to handle stress. And there are, in chiropractic, we call it three T's, traumas, thoughts, and toxins, or what they call here on the slide. It says physical, chemical, and emotional stress. Most people can understand what physical stress is. Physical stress is like slips and falls, car accidents, how you sitting at your computer, looking down at your phone nonstop, head down. Stress that you put in your body, whether it's a job, maybe it's you walk around on hard cement all day long, maybe it's you sit all day long, maybe it's you stand all day long. Stress in a physical sense is something that people can understand. For babies and little kids, that stress might come in the form of how they sat in the uterus or how they were pulled out. In some cases, babies are relatively untouched and able to come to the birth canal naturally, normally the way that it is designed to. In some cases, there's more stress, whether it's a C-section or whether it's the forceps or the vacuum suction cup thing that happens. That's physical stress. Chemical stress comes in the form of different things. That's things you're exposed to chemically. That's medicines, drugs that might even be life-saving or helping you, or medications that are vaccines from an early age, chemicals that are in our foods, medication that the animals were given, antibiotics. You also have to think about the vaccines that animals were given. These things pass through the animals into us. And then you have to think about the chemicals that you spray on the plants and the food that we eat as well, and the chemicals that they use to clean offices and buildings and all this stuff. I remember during COVID, I went to take my car to get an oil change, and they said, we're going to give it the COVID inside fix. And I'm like, what's that? And they're like, we're going to spray all these chemicals on the inside. I'm like, no, I don't want any of that stuff, because God knows what that's going to do to my inside of my car, but what it's going to do to my body that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. These are chemicals. So you have the physical, you have the chemical, then you have emotional stress. And so I like to tell patients, I'm like, you probably don't have any emotional stress, which we all do. But emotional stress might come from family. It might come from friends. It might come from this emotional stress that we put on ourselves. It might be our upbringing, it might be past traumas. These are all stressors that we have, and they all add up and stack on top of each other. They're not individual silos of physical, chemical, and emotional stress. These are all aspects of it. But when the nerve system isn't coordinating well, the body shifts from adapting to that stress to compensating. It has to do something with that stress. See, stress isn't the enemy. Stress is not the problem. It's our body's inability to be able to adapt to that stress is when we start to cause issues, or our body starts to have to do something with that. There are stress in kids and families. Like, this is the part that we often miss. And so this is why we see a lot of families, a lot of kids in here. I had a kid in here yesterday, 15 months old, 14 months old. And this little kid has been having problems sleeping, and the parents are at the end of the rope. Their first kid didn't have any problem sleeping. Now this kid is waking up 4, 5, 6 times a night. And not only imagine what that does to the kid's healing and the ability for their body to be able to function, but imagine what that does to the mom and dad and everybody else in the family. It affects that. So kids experience stress too. So school pressure, sports, screen time, schedules, childhood vaccines, chemicals that they put in them when they have ear infections, emotional tension at home as well. So they don't always say that I'm stressed when it comes to kids and families, but what it shows up as is poor sleep, meltdowns, ADD, ADHD, headaches, stomach issues, focus problems, and parents carry this stress as well. So, and the nerve system influence each other. So like, if somebody can handle stress better, it's going to affect the kids. And if the kids' nerve system can handle the stress better, it's going to affect the parents. Like, on a regular basis, I say this probably weekly in my office, is that the parents come in and say, I don't want to give my kids the medicines, but I'm kind of thinking that maybe this is the pathway we're going to have to go down. And I said, well, listen, these medicines aren't really for the kid. It's so the parents can rest assured that they can sleep and have peace at night, whether the kid's going through a cold or sickness or ear infections or whatever else it is. These are times where I tell my patients, I'm like, listen, get adjusted, make sure the nerve system's working well, make sure that the kid is soothed and loved on and snuggled and prayed for, and all the things that you should do when somebody has a problem. This is something that people miss. And I wasn't planning on saying this, but I'm going to say it right now. This is the thing that people miss, is that if you start teaching your kid from an early age that every time they have stress or pressure, or they have something going on in the signs of a symptom or problem, and if you're medicating that, what you're teaching them is that there's always going to be a pill or a shot or a liquid or something that's going to alter their state that can't happen from the inside. And so what I try to help parents understand, I'm like, listen, there's a time and a place for that aspect of that. But if you can take kids and take them through the process of helping them understand that no, God designed your body perfectly healthy. Let's pray with you. Let's get you adjusted. Let's eat healthy foods. Let's get the proper rest. Let's get you off your screens. Let's make you laugh. Let's let you know that mom and dad love you and we're always here for you. If you start training that way from early on, then they start to have this. Parents, when I tell them this, they're like, wow, I never thought about it from the standpoint is that I'm training my kids of what to do when there's stressful situations, obviously along the way. So when families are under constant stress, the nerve system never gets a break. It's constantly, we call it this perfect storm of the nerve system just constantly firing, and that's not good for the health of the body, obviously along the way. So when this stress is there, and this is, I've explained this on here probably before, but I want to get more in depth with this circuit breaker. I always hate the circuit breakers. I mean, I never know if I'm doing good or bad. I just kind of shut them off and shut them on. Kind of like when a computer goes bad, you turn it off and turn it on, you hope for the best. I did that with our heat in this office recently, and it worked. And so, if my AC guys out there know that you have to come take a look at my heater here pretty soon. Hopefully I'm not going to need it for the summer, obviously, anymore. But think of your body like a circuit breaker. When electric load exceeds capacity, the breaker trips, not because the system failed, but it's trying to prevent further damage. So the example I always use is my 4 girls. If they're getting ready in a same room and they're all plugged into the same outlet, and they have straightening irons, curling irons, and hair dryers, they're going to blow that circuit. Now, is that desirable for my girls that are trying to use that outlet? No. But is it desirable for the whole structure of the whole house or whatever it might be, hotel or whatever it is? Yes, it's important, because if that circuit doesn't break, then there's going to be bigger damage to the whole structure. And so this is essentially what happens within the body. It's not perfect analogy, but it's a pretty close analogy. When electric load exceeds capacity, the breaker trips, not because the system failed, but because it's trying to prevent damage. Body works the same way. When stress overwhelms adaptation, the nervous system has to do something to protect itself. To protect response, it often shows up as what we call in chiropractic a subluxation, which is a misalignment of the spine. The spine goes out of its normal alignment, and that disrupts the nerve system, which is not desirable, but the spine has to subluxate to prevent further damage, to protect a further response. It actually overwhelms that adaptation. It has to protect itself. So the subluxation isn't the cause of stress, but it's the body's inability to respond to what's called unmanageable stress. It can't do what it's supposed to do. So the reality is then you go in, you break the circuit and allow it to re-function again to the nervous system, but you also want to take some of the stressors away. So that's what we work on with our patients in our office is let's help you find some of those stressors, obviously, in your life. Is it nutritional? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? What is it? Like making people aware of those things. And a lot of times patients come in and they know what that is. But then we have to reset the circuit, which is finding the subluxation and adjusting it so the nerve system can so the body can start to adapt again the way that was designed to obviously adapt along the way. So where does stress show up in the body? Well, this is where stress becomes personal. So ask yourself, is it in my neck? Is it my shoulder tension? Is it low back tightness? Is it headaches? Is it shallow breathing? Is it digestive issues? Is it fatigue? Burnout? Is it sleep issues? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? See, it can be any of those things, and it's different for different people. It's not one size fits all. It's different for different people along the way. And so that stress, it leaves its fingerprint on the body. It tells you, it kind of starts to show up as these things, and the body keeps score. Even when the mind tries to push through, it's trying to do the best it can. But when it's overwhelmed with certain amounts of stress and the body can't adapt to it, it has to do something about that. And so how chiropractic supports that stress, that adaptation. So chiropractic doesn't necessarily remove stress from your life. You're still going to have stress. And people say to me, like, why is it necessary for me to keep coming back to get adjusted? Why is it necessary for me to get checked up on a regular basis? I said, well, we can't if I can help you remove the subluxation from your spine and your nerve system, allow your body to start to heal, and then put you in a bubble so you don't have any more stress, then that might be a good thing, but then you can't live. So what chiropractic does is it doesn't remove stress from your life, but what it does is it helps the nerve system handle the stress in a better way. By restoring the spinal movement, the function, the structure of the spine, what it does is that communication between the brain and the body, what we call mental impulses in chiropractic, the system actually regains its coordination and its adaptability. It's able to adapt better. So when the nerve system functions better, kids regulate better. They're able to regulate the stress that's in their life, whatever it's coming from. The parents respond better. Families function better when we remove the stress from the spine and the nerve system. So stress doesn't need to be eliminated, and we're not going to be able to. One of my mentors used to say, hey, look, if this whole world was full of banana peels everywhere, you can't go around the whole world removing all the banana peels. No, but you can remove some of them. So we want to try to eliminate some of the stressors, but we can't remove all of them. But along the way, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the brain and the body and the nerve system is adapting the stress in the best possible way. So when your body's taking the inventory of what's going on and you have these symptoms, like I said before, that's when you need to start to say, well, something in my body's not adapting the way that it's supposed to. And I know that sounds different than most chiropractors. Most chiropractors will directly link to like, hey, you have neck pain or back pain, come get adjusted. The hardest part of my job is that I'm not adjusting you for neck pain or back pain. I'm adjusting you so your nerve system can communicate the way that it was designed, so your brain can communicate with your body, and your body can communicate with your brain, so your body can adapt and coordinate so it can do exactly what it needs to do with what exactly it's been given. And that's when people have amazing changes and results. We've seen people that their attitudes change. People come off their antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs. We've seen people come reverse problems within their spine, their nerve system. They end up canceling surgeries for their neck or their back. We've seen people been able to heal from headaches, but I don't heal any of these things. Understand that when we adjust in this office, we don't heal you. What we do is we remove the interference and we allow the body to do what it's supposed to do to adapt and coordinate the way that it's designed and it's supposed to. So this is such a huge concept for you to understand. It's hard for a lot of people to understand because in the medical industrial complex, it doesn't work this way. In medical industrial complex, which medical industrial complex includes medicine, it includes insurance companies, which shouldn't be called health insurance, should be called sick insurance because that's what it's for. Only when you get sick. It's not there for you to keep you healthy. And then the pharmaceutical industry. These three industries thrive off the fact that there's a symptom and then there's a solution. symptom solution. What we work on more than anything else in our office and we try to focus on is let's get your body adapting and coordinating the best it possibly can so the body can heal and do exactly what it's supposed to do, when it's supposed to do it, and how it's supposed to do it. So hope you guys have any, if you guys have any questions, fill it in, ask questions in the blanks here below here, ask questions, email me, call me, go to our website, call us, text us, however you need to get any kind of information. If you have questions about this, love to hear from you guys. Have a great and blessed day.